Welcome to day 3 of the launch program. I am so happy you're here, and I cannot wait to dive into some of the more tactical tips that I can give you. So I've talked about this all along, but to launch, you need to have a community. You need to have a community that you have built up, that you have nurtured, so you have somebody to launch to. So this sequence is really focused around that. However, you can use this sequence, you can simplify it if you want, you can tweak it a little bit, but you can use this to actually grow your community, to launch many little launches along the way before your big NFT collection, and use this just as a way to grow and drive your reach and increase your awareness. All right. So I really like this program because, yes, while it is focused on the big launch, you really can use this for anything. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. But I love this because even if you do start this, and you actually should, so if you are currently building your community, you should use this. You should use this sequence because it trains your audience on how to do things. It teaches your audience on how you do things. It helps them learn what to expect, and it will start to really grab their attention once you start doing this for your big launch. So you're training them to know that when you start doing this sequence, something big is happening and it's coming, and they are going to want to pay attention to you. All right, so once I teach you the sequence, I will circle back on this topic and tie it all together in the end. But because today is just step 2. So step 1 has been the last 2 days combined, and that is really coming into alignment. It's more of like the ethereal, more of the energy work, and more of the like more out there, more non-tangible type of tips, but also very and incredibly important. Step 2 is when we're going to start getting into what can you physically do in the online space to actually launch your collection. So tonight is step 2. Step 2 is what I call the tease. So that is what tonight's little section is. We're going to title that the tease. It's actually really funny because I created the sequence from a client that I had in Web 2, and they were spicy content creator. And so I wanted to create something for them that really aligned with their spiciness, with the teasing and, kind of like a striptease type of thing. Like just kind of like warming up the waters. And we blew it out of the water with this. And so I started actually doing this with a lot of people in Web 2 and launching this way. And everyone was very successful this way. And then when I came into Web 3, I knew I had to try this out. And we've been doing this for all of our clients, and it's been working so well. So I'm so excited that this is something that you can really carry with you in all different mediums and all different types of launches. So really excited. But that's a little background on how this got started. So if you think about it, getting back to the tease, if you just picture yourself you're looking for a car you want to purchase, you might not know exactly what you want, but you want to look around and you want to really drive the car before you purchase it. So you walk into the dealership and, instead of somebody coming up to you and saying, hey, I'm so-and-so, like, what are you looking for? Like, where are you at in your journey? How are you feeling? And they just come up and they're like, all right, you want this? All right, we got this car over here, this car over here. You should definitely test drive this. All right, okay, you've test driven it. Okay, now I need you to sit down and let's purchase. Like, what number do I need to get this car to sell you? And that's what that's the typical car dealership type of experience, and it doesn't feel good. Nobody likes it. We actually talk about how crappy of an experience it is. So why would we do it to anybody else? We really need to get them warmed up, get them knowing us, liking us, and trusting us. Same with the first date. You don't just walk up and have dinner without ever chatting or knowing each other and just saying, oh, let's skip dinner, like let's go to my place, like that's killer vibes right there. If somebody does that to you on a date, like you don't go home with them. So nowadays it's like you find them on an app or you get introduced. So, you swipe right, like, oh, that guy looks cute. Like, let me swipe. I'm not sure if it's left or right, but it's one of them. Swipe right. And then you start DMing each other, you start talking, you start seeing if the chemistry's there. Then you might hop on a phone call and just call them one day. Or maybe, it goes from DMs to texts and then text to phone call. And then you're like, all right, let's have dinner. Like, I trust you. I think I'm digging you. Let's go face to face. So dinner goes great, and then you can take it from there. But there really is that warm up period, and there needs to be steps in place in order to get you warmed up and to get you in the right vibe. And the same goes for launching. And for building a community in Web3, it is so important to really build that relationship, build that trust, warm up the waters a little bit. And again, of course, like, this is why it's so important to nurture a community before you ever launch, because launching is much easier that way. So this is the next, what I'm going to tell you is the warm-up phase. This is the warm-up phase of the tease, and this is what this looks like. So first and foremost, we talked about your purpose. Your collection has a purpose. It has a certain theme to it. It has certain topics that you talk about it, that they align with, okay? So about 2 weeks before you ever, announce that you're launching or doing anything, we are having this tease phase. And within this tease phase, the first step is the warm-up. And this is just creating content around that same topic. Okay, so you should always be creating content around, your purpose and information and things that inspire your community and your ideal audience. And if you're not, you should definitely be doing it now and at this point. And as you get closer to announcing your launch, you should definitely be ramping this up. So you're doing this because let's say the launch is either, we'll do your collection. It can be a collection for something like for uplifting women. It can also be something for like what I do with my programs, like with my programs and with my master classes. It could be something that you are promoting in Discord. All right. But no matter what it is, you should figure out what the topic is, what the purpose is, and create content and tweets and social posts strictly based around those topics. So you're doing this because you are now starting to grab the attention of people who really like this topic, who jive with this topic. And you are getting them to start looking at you and paying attention to you. And now those are the people that you can start really honing in after you warm them up, talking to them about your collection when the time comes. So that is why we want to create content that is aligned with our purpose or with whatever topic we are trying to launch. All right. Let me check my notes really quickly, see if I missed anything. No, I think we're good there. Yeah, so I did this with my last master classes. So I had the community masterclass, and now I had this launch. When it was time for my community masterclass, I created tweets specifically around building a community, the importance of a community, mistakes that people make in the community. And then with the launch, I wrote tweets that were very inspiring about helping people get into the right mindset for launching, little tips here and there. Again, why is launching important? So everything up to this masterclass, it all aligned. It all had the same topic because I wanted to make sure that the people who were finding me right now in real life could see that, could see me, and I would eventually know that they like this topic, and then I could launch whatever I was launching to them. All right. So my tweets aligned, my Twitter spaces aligned, and not everything and not every single thing has to align. Not every single Twitter space every day has to be about the same topic for 2 weeks. Same with my posts. Like, yes, you want variety, but you want to make it heavily skewed. So we're making sure that we're attracting the right soul family to us for this purpose in time. Okay, so it would feel weird if I was talking about making tweets on how to become a service provider in Web3, and then did something totally random like, hey, here's how you storytell, for the launch. You want to make sure it's very consistent. So I like to schedule out the big thing. So I like to figure out obviously what I'm launching first and then work backwards from there and get it all laid out. Okay, so let's say that your NFT collection was all about building a safe community, uplifting women. So you can go back and say, okay, what tweets around this are about this topic, and start writing about them. So now you have this whole content aligning strategy that will be ongoing. So you want to start it as soon as you can. And then of course, ramp it up once you get closer to announcing your launch. And it should actually be, once you start going down and start creating this content and you're getting ready to launch, this whole strategy should be going throughout the entire phase. Okay, so it starts here and it ramps up and it goes through your launch. But this is where it first starts. And I'm saying things and timing. And again, you have to turn inward and think, hey, what feels good for me? Does it feel good to create content around this stuff for 2 weeks? Is that too long? Do I need longer? Is maybe my audience not as warm as I'd like it to be? So you really have to think about what works best for you. But what I've seen and what I like is about the 2 weeks of creating content, or even like a week or two of creating aligned content before you even say anything about your launch. Okay, so that was the first part of the tease. The second part is, now that the people are seeing you and it's the right people who you want to be connecting with, and they are interacting with your posts, they are sharing your posts, they're liking, they're tweeting, they're just seeing you, they're sharing with their friends, you now want to throw something out there that intrigues these people. So they already know you're there. Now you need to kind of capture them even more. All right. And this is going to be the initial tease. Okay. So we had kind of like the setting the stage, and now we actually have a tease. So this is very simple. This is just a post where you're like, oh my gosh, I've been working on something huge that it means so much to me, that is near and dear to my heart, and I truly think is going to change the world. I can't tell you what's going on quite yet, but I'm working out the kinks, working out the final details, and I'm going to be telling you really, really soon what's going on. So stay tuned. That's it. That's all you have to say. That is the actual tease post, wherever you want to put it. Most likely it's going to be in Twitter, and it's going to probably be in Discord as well. So this works best, again, after you've built your following and after you have an engaged following with the certain topics that you are aligning yourself with, and of course making friends in this space. So I always say that yes, it's always important to create content, but it's even more important to create friends in this space and to create connections. So if you think about it, if some random dude off the street was like, oh my gosh, guess what? I have something coming, like, stay tuned. You're gonna be like, cool, I don't know who you are, and that freaks me out a little, versus your best friend who's like, oh my gosh, I have something to tell you, but I can't tell you yet, so stay tuned. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, give me the information. I actually have a friend that does this, and she doesn't know she does this, and I don't think she means to, but all the time she'll text me and say, I have the craziest story. Like, this weekend was like, crazy spring break style, like psycho things happening. Like, I just can't believe this happened. And I'm like, okay, well, what? She's like, well, it's too long for text, so make sure you call me. And so now I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to call you tomorrow. I'm picking up the damn phone and I'm calling you right now, and it's just like that, So it's also just, it's fascinating to me, because this is actually a very like psychological thing. And I'll get more into that as we go on. But this tweet in particular, this post might not gain traction at first, but you are training your community to know that when they see this post, they know that something exciting and fun is coming. So they're going to stop, they're going to watch, they're going to maybe turn on your alerts. There are alerts for you to get, to get the information as soon as it comes out. And you don't want to do this for every single little thing. You don't want to say like, hey, guess what, something's coming, and then it be like something super random or small or something that's just like you do it all the time, that's not gonna train anybody. It's gonna train people to realize that, oh, you just are posting to post at this point and you have nothing great coming. You want to save this post for the special things. All right. So yes, you want to do it up until your launch, but you want to do it for the special things, not the everyday mundane small things. Okay. And with these posts, less is so much better. So you want to make sure you are very cut and dry, just like I said, because it's ingrained in us to, when we have something that is not fully closed, like what that tweet, what it does, it opens up a closed, like a loop that's not closed. And so it's ingrained in us psychologically and as humans to want to close that loop, to want to close that gap and know what's going on. Our brains literally cannot handle when there's a gap and it's not closed. Okay, so I'm going to get to that a little bit more. So we have the momentum, we have the initial tease, and now we have the build-up tease. So this is when you push it even just a little bit more, but you don't give them much information. You might just give them a little bit more. But it needs to be very exciting. So I usually do, it could be a sneak peek of an NFT. It could be some other sort of breadcrumb. It can be a video that doesn't say much information, but it's like super hypey. It's super beautiful. It's super artistic. And then at the end, it says coming more, or it can give them just like one piece of information. Or for my master classes and programs, what I do is I'll show just a visual. And again, it won't have much copy on there. It might say coming soon, but it's a really pretty visual that encapsulates what the program is about, but it doesn't say what it's about. So people know that when that shows up, that I have a masterclass coming, and they are trying to now look at the picture and try to put together what it's all about. So I love this stuff. It's basically you're saying the same thing, however, you're doing it more visually. You're doing it with video, you're doing it with a picture. And again, maybe giving like one or two more tidbits, but not giving them much, you know? So this just is another way, it lights up another part of our soul family's brain, of our community's brain. So they have the tweet, now they have this visual, and now they're getting closer to solving this issue, to solving this mystery case that we've given them. And that is such a dopamine hit for people. It's crazy. When people, again, they have that huge mystery, that huge solve that they need to solve. And you know, it's almost like obtaining a little goal. Every time you attain a little goal, you have that like really feel good feelings. And then, yeah, so it really draws people in. And this is very psychological reason behind that as well. You know, you're putting clues together as to what's coming down the pipeline, and it just helps them solve the case. It helps them close that loop, because again, our brains just do not like having an open loop. So this is exactly how conspiracy theorists work. And when people create conspiracy theories, and this is why it works so well, is because it's usually after something, it's about a topic that doesn't make sense to us, you know, and it sucks people in. And maybe there's something that doesn't make sense to us, like our brain just can't comprehend it. So these conspiracy theorists will come in, and it can be a totally outrageous story, something that is not even based by facts, but it closes the loop. It closes the loop for people. Even though it's not true, people latch onto that story and they're like, well, it must be true. It's what closes the loop. And, you know, like no one else has told me anything that closes this loop. It's just this open loop that I've been trying to close. And that's why people, even the most educated people, will get really latched into these conspiracy theories. It's really hard to have something open for our brains, you know, and that's just what we have psychologically going on. So this is, I'm nearing the end for this one. This is a pretty quick video, but I think it's pretty powerful. So to recap, you have a ramp up, you know, so you create these texts, these tweets, these posts, whatever you're doing, and you are creating content just around whatever it is you're launching. Again, not about the launch. It's just like only about certain topics and the topics around it. No mention of any launch right now. Then you create the tease post of, hey, something is coming, like stay tuned, turn on your alerts. And then you have the second tease, and it's more of like the visual tease that gives them just a little bit more, where they're really excited that they're closing the loop and they want more. Okay. And so I'm actually going to leave it here for tonight. I'm sure some of you kind of know and have some guesses on what's coming tomorrow and what the next steps are. But right now, I'm just going to leave you with my own little tease and have you try to figure out how to close the loop. So let's talk about homework. I want you to go back to, of course, like, what is your collection's purpose? What does it stand for? What does it do? I know that some people, the purpose is very hard. Don't let this trip you up. So if there's a sentence that you can just fill out, you can say, this NFT collection helps X do Y through Z. Okay, so that would be the framework if you are really having trouble with your purpose. So I would say, we are an NFT collection for women, helping women become more confident in their own skin through programs, education, communities, support. And even then, like, even for this purpose here, for the homework, you don't even have to leave. You can just do the first part, NFT collection that helps X do Y, and just leave it at that if you're struggling. But this is a really good place to really formulate what your NFT collection is, or what it is that you're launching. So that's the first one. Two, just think about what else you can launch if you are still building your community. And also, if you are looking to build your community, look at the Built to Last Masterclass. That is incredible masterclass at building your community and doing it in a really feel good way, and doing it through like providing value. But otherwise, just, you can think of, what do you have, an education series that you can launch? Do you have a coaching session that you can kind of promote and launch, and do that same process over? What's the purpose of that? We want to make sure that we're doing little mini launches up until our big launch, to train our community that something big is coming, and to get them to turn heads and pay attention. With this industry growing so quickly, and it's just going to become more saturated, you need to break through the noise of just everything going on, of Twitter, of Discord, of people's emails, of just life in general. Whatever you can do to get people to turn their heads to you is a huge win. All right. So again, don't let the details make you stuck. Just start doing it and doing the best that you can, even when it comes to like posting content, like, is this enough content? Is this enough posting? Just more than anything, just get out there and do it. Then I want you to think about what your tease posts would look like. So what the initial one would be, and what the second one would be. Like, what could you do? Like, have a lot of fun here. What really aligns with your brand, your aesthetic? Do you like to do video? Do you like to create, just online visuals? So think about that, okay? And this will just be fun for you to have, and a really great place for you to brainstorm. If you want to brainstorm a million different launches, go for it. If you want to do your one big NFT launch and then kind of plan out how you're going to launch up until the big launch, think about that. So yeah, that's about it. Do this tonight before we move on to the next one, and I think it'll be really helpful for tomorrow's class. If you have any questions, drop your questions in the Q&A. If you need support, drop your homework in the homework channel, and just do it anyway, because it really provides a really great discussion and helps other people as well along the way. I'm trying to think what else. If you found this helpful, I would love for you to share a tweet, to invite a friend who you think would benefit from this, and really just share the love. I think that, it's so important for artists to start generating really great wealth. And of course, launching is the best way to do it, but you have to launch appropriately in order for it to work, or else it's just a big mess. You're doing all of the things and not having a really great outcome. All right. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you back tomorrow.